Do they touch you? Buddy starts snapping, saying that he was about to the place up. And then they interviewed me right on the spot. And it was kind of interesting. My interview process, I cannot make this up. Shorty started crying to management, lying out of her teeth, trying to play in my face, trying to play in management's face. If you, for some reason, can't work at Hooters because of a size issue, honestly, girl, if you can skip this chapter, skip this chapter. Skip this chapter. It's just a job. Like, hey y'all, excuse the lighting. It just keeps fucking up and I don't know why. But I have my laptop and today we're gonna talk about Hooters. So I've been getting a lot of questions on TikTok about Hooters because I was talking about stuff like sizing and how to get hired. So might as well jump on YouTube with it. First of all, hi, I worked at Hooters. Yeah, it was an experience. It was an experience. And I just want to clear up like any misconceptions, any like information that you might want to know in terms of wanting to work there, or if you're just curious. But yeah, first of all, to start off with, Hooters is just a restaurant. It's not a lounge. It's not a strip club. It's nothing like that. It's literally just a restaurant where the servers are women. Okay, that's it. So yeah. Next, sizing. This was like a big thing that people wanted to know. So I worked at a franchise store. So there's corporate and then there's franchise, right? And they basically, franchise has more leeway to run their stores how they want versus corporate, which is held to like more of a all-around standard or whatever. And my store's largest size was medium. They had extra small, small, and medium. Our store sizes though did run bigger, so say like the medium is what I would think a large would be because everything kind of ran a little bigger. But yeah, that's it. And honestly, like if you for some reason can't work at Hooters because of a size issue, honestly, girl, if you can skip this chapter, skip this chapter. Skip this chapter. It's just a job. Like none of the girls I worked with, including myself, I'm now a nurse. Like if y'all aren't new, you already know, but if you're new, I am a registered nurse. But when I was working at Hooters, trying to make money in the process of like preparing for the NCLEX and studying and all that stuff, none of the other girls, including myself, saw Hooters as a career. We just saw Hooters as a way to make fast money in the meantime while we're working on something else. So if you cannot work at Hooters or someone doesn't hire you or whatever the case is, rejection is God's protection, okay? It was literally just a job. And you know, I've seen a lot of weird shit. I experienced a lot of weird shit. So if you could just skip it, just skip it. And not everyone's experience is the same, but I'm only talking on my behalf. So responsibilities as a Hooters girl. So basically, a Hooters girl, you're a server. So at my store, they had people alternating from hostess to server. But I got hired as a server. I would only do hosting like maybe once a week whenever that was occurring. But hosting is literally just sitting people down and rotating sections. Like every server has their own sections, like this is your tables, these are your tables. And the hostess basically, every time someone comes to the store, they are putting the people where they're supposed to go, like basically taking turns, so that way every new person that walks in kind of like goes into the new section and on and on and on. Yes, people do walk in and be like, I want the booths, and it might skip somebody's turn or whatever the case is, but that's literally what a hostess does. Serving is serving. I honestly recommend serving if you want a part-time job, or even if you're doing it full-time, like if you're in school or trying to be an entrepreneur, whatever the case is. I do recommend serving because yes, you make an hourly wage, which will be low because you are a server, but girl, those tips come 10 freaking fold. Like if you want a job where you can maximize your time, like it's not like, okay, I'm in there for 6 hours and I know based off of the 6 hours I'm only gonna make this. Girl, when I tell you, like I literally had tables just give me $100, and that's probably what I would have made in my hourly wage the whole entire time, if not less. Like, or people just giving you $50 or whatever the case is, it adds up, it maximizes your time. So definitely look into serving, even if it's not Hooters. It's a great opportunity, okay, to run up some bread. My store was in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Turn up, shout out Broward County. But yeah, like I made good money at Hooters. The only bad thing about Hooters was the people that I worked with. I'm not gonna lie, like I made some friends. I made some friends at Hooters, but I've seen a lot of like microaggressive things, like racism and stuff like that. I don't know. I seen girls not want to sit, people who look like me, because they assume that they didn't tip, and those tables showed out for me. Okay, those tables always showed out. Like I never, I'm never prejudiced. I serve everybody who sits into my section. Like, but I did see a lot of microaggressive things with some of the girls. But overall, it was cool. Management was cool, and a lot of people are kind of concerned about the customers. Like, do they touch you? Are they rude to you? Do they act weird towards you? Honestly, I would be more scared of the people you work with and management and the people in the kitchen acting weird than like the people who are coming. Like, it's a restaurant, you know? And if somebody comes into the store thinking that Hooters is more than a restaurant, they will get kicked. They will get kicked quick. Like, it's none of that. Okay, it's none of that. So qualifications to work at Hooters. Based off of my experience, whenever I got hired at Hooters, I kind of just walked in. They handed me like a paper application, and then they interviewed me right on the spot. And it was kind of interesting. My interview process, they basically were just talking to me about myself, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm studying right now to be a nurse. They basically were asking me a whole bunch of random stuff to basically see if you could have conversations on your toes, to see if you're personable, to see if you can carry out a conversation from nothing to something. That's what they're seeing, because at the end of the day, Hooters is trying to sell like an experience. And to be a server, honestly, just across the board, outside of Hooters, whatever, you have to be very personable. You're dealing with talking to people and wanting to communicate with them effectively and so on. So that's basically what happened, and they hired me on the spot, but said I needed to see the general manager as well. So I'm like, okay, cool. My general manager was cool. I messed with him, like, he was cool. So the second interview, I did meet him. He handed me the uniform, and that's like the ultimate last thing. Once they like you, it's, can you fit the uniform? I fit the uniform, and then I was set up on training. Once you get hired, they train you for like a week. You basically serve behind another Hooters girl for a week and basically see the ins and out, learn the menu, see how they talk to the customers, assist them. And by the time you're finished with that week, you're like, girl, I want to make my own money. Like, at this point, I want to have my own tables, because you're gonna feel like, I'm watching you making this money, girl, and I did not make a thing. Shout out to this girl who trained me. She actually like gave me some of her tips. She did not even have to do that, but she gave me some of her tips, because she's like, girl, like, you honestly really did help me, and here you go. And I was like, bet, you feel me? So yeah. Okay, the Hooters girl look. So basically they want you to look like the girl next door. So no, my piercings in my nose right now would be considered inappropriate. They would tell me to take out my nose piercings. I mean, there was some favoritism. There was some freaking favoritism, because there was some shorties that was able to keep their nose rings in their nose and whatever. But yeah, you have to take the nose rings out. If you have visible tattoos, that's outside of your uniform, because you have stockings on, basically covering your legs. So if you have like tattoos on your legs or whatever, they'll be covered. But if you have tattoos, like say you have like a sleeve or something, you're gonna have to cover it up with makeup. And yep, I know that sucks, but they will still hire you. You just have to cover it up. Your hair always has to be down and in natural colors, but in natural colors that would be like subjective to you, because I don't even know. So I pulled up in a blonde wig. I'm not gonna lie. I pulled up in a blonde wig, and they were just like, you're supposed to have natural colors, and it's like, this is a natural color, but it wouldn't have grown out of my head, so that's why they were like tripping like that. But it's like, come on, be for real, you know what I mean? So, but like I said, it's all dependent on your store. So I would just do trial and error and see what you can get away with. But yeah, also when it comes to hair, I seen on TikTok a lot of people were asking me like, could you have short hair? Honestly, I don't think that would be a problem, but like I said, it's up to your store. As long as your hair is down, it should be okay. But in terms of like afro stuff like that, I mean, they shouldn't have a problem. They shouldn't have a problem, but I would just double check with your store. Not gonna lie, drawing back to like weird experiences, I know y'all want to hear that. So I used to work with this one shorty, and like she was notorious for stealing tables. Like, baby, like we all trying to make money, so what you mean? But she was notorious for stealing tables. This is also the same girl who didn't want to sit black people because she felt like they wouldn't tip, right? So tell me how it's just me and her in the store, right? It's just two servers or whatever. So we're rotating. Everybody who comes in, we're rotating. Your section, my section, your section, my section. So I'm like, okay, bet. So the next, like, this family walks in. No, first it was like this black couple walks in, and she's like not wanting to take them, acting funny, da 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 da. But the hostess sat that girl down, sat the family. The hostess sat the couple down in her section, right? And she wanted to act funny, like take forever to like acknowledge the table, whatever. Then a family that didn't look like them walked in, and it was just my turn. Like, so, you know, they're being guided to my section. She tried to steal my table. Like, baby, you thought you was gonna get 2 tables back to back? And like, what you mean? Like, what? And she was like, oh no, it's my turn. And I'm like, you just got a table, what do you mean? And she tried to play in my face. This girl literally went as far as, because we were playing like tic-tac-toe on a piece of paper to keep track of whose turn it was. This girl went as far as to throw it out and redo a new one, go to management, start crying. I cannot make this up. Shorty started crying to management, lying out of her teeth, trying to play in my face, trying to play in management's face. And when management came to me, I'm like, she literally threw out the paper and redid her own. So like, and they were like, really? I was like, yeah, like she's mad weird. And I ended up getting a table, but it's just like, why even do that? Like, why? Weird situations with customers. So like, I've seen different shit, like customers breaking out in fights and like whatever. You serving alcohol, anything could go down. But one time I was hosting, right? I was outside in the little table waiting for people to come up so I could sit you at your table or whatever. And this guy comes up and he's just like, hey, do you have any bread to like give me money so I can get gas? And I was like, no. And mind you, I was a hostess at my store. We don't get tips. So like, that doesn't have money, but also I don't know you. So like, I wasn't inclined to just giving him bread, and he seemed a little off too. So I was just like, all right, like, what's going on here? And then he was just like upset, like, well, if you can't give me money, well, ask your manager then. And I was just like, bet, right? I just wanted to get out of the man's face. Like, I wasn't down for what was going on, whatever. So I went inside and I went to my manager and I was like, buddy's outside and he's asking me for money for gas, and he didn't even eat in here. I don't know who he is, whatever. So a manager is like, oh hell no, I'm not giving him gas. So if you came in here thinking I'm like, no, I didn't come in here thinking that you're gonna give him the gas, but like I thought you was gonna get rid of him, you feel me? Like whatever. So the manager goes outside, right, talks to buddy starts snapping, saying that he was about to the place up and all this shit. So I was like, oh no, like that's crazy, right? So he threatened us. He ran into the parking lot and just starts going crazy. I can't make this shit up. He started going crazy in the parking lot, and my manager is just basically watching him, like, to see what he's gonna do. Like, is he actually gonna go to a car or whatever? What was weird was buddy got in the car and drove away. You was asking for gas, but you drove away. I mean, I can assume that he had a little bit of gas, but it was just very weird. He drove away. Less than an hour later, he comes back, right? So I was like, oh, wow, like, this is crazy. He comes back, and instead of coming to our store, he kind of just, like, ran. I can't make this up. So this is our store, right? And then we have, like, a major street. He parks his car, and then he bolts into the major street. And I just knew he wasn't right. Like, he had to have been on some sort of drugs or whatever, but that was crazy. Not to mention, whenever he was asking me for money, he was like profusely sweating. So I knew something was off. And like, he took like some napkins, because we had like the napkin holders, and he's just like, psh, 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 rubs his face with the sweat and stuffs it in his mouth. And I was just like, all right, that's weird. Another question I seen on TikTok is, do customers flirt with you? I mean, I feel like as a woman, you're gonna get flirted with, whether you go to the gas station down the street or you work. Like, that has happened. I had moms try to set me up with their sons, all sort of stuff. Like, just, I don't know, just do your job. If you're not there for that, just do your job, and people will only do what you allow, right? I have seen cases where management have to like kick people out the store because they was doing too much, or they got way too drunk and whatever, but just do your job and leave. Like I said, you serving as an investor, it's not a career, and get out of there. Hooters is also cool as well, because you could get into different opportunities. Like, they have the Hooters calendar, which I did not do. But they have the Hooters calendar, and basically you could enter it and you could be on a national calendar for the following year. There's pageants, there's different stuff. There's events that you can get paid for. Like, our store will participate in like yachting events but I live in South Florida, so that's normal. But if you're in different states, like whatever's popping in your state, they'll have events and doing things that are native to the area, and you get paid for just going. Or bartending, whatever the case is. But I definitely recommend to serve if you just want to make some quick bread, but you know, it's not everything if you don't, you know? Being a Hooters girl in South Florida is kind of, I don't know. So a lot of the girls, like, they would try to go to different parties. I remember one time Soulja Boy had came down and went to Miami, and they were like, Soulja Boy gonna be at Club Live, we should slide. I mean, I was never the type to, I'll go out, but I don't know. There's a lot of like groupie shit that I was just not down for, and I just want to make my money and go home, honestly. Like, but I did meet some great girlfriends that I'm still cool with to this day, and yeah. So that's pretty much it. I don't know what else I could like talk about with Hooters, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So the money all depends. Like I said, I've had tables just give me $100 off a rib, but I think at a Hooters store, like, there's other places you can serve and make more, but like, basically I think a bad night would just be anything underneath $100, because that's wild. And I feel like a good night is anything $100 plus. I've heard 500s, I've heard like different stuff, so depends. And if you work doubles, that's even crazier with the bread. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to see, and I'll see you later. Bye.